Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review End of the Road. This is a new Netflix crime thriller starring Queen Latifah and Ludacris, and from director Millicent Shelton, who previously did work on Titans and Insecure and 30 Rock. And this film focuses on a mother, her two kids, and her brother going on a road trip, moving across the southwest desert, trying to move to Texas. And of course, none in the family are happy, and Brenda, Queen Latifah's character, is trying to keep them all together. And they wind up experiencing a series of very unfortunate circumstances, including being stopped by two roughnecks who did not take too kindly to the daughter rejecting their advances, and then threaten them and pull all kinds of crazy road rage on them. And this film felt like it was going in the direction of like potentially something like Nocturnal Animals, where like it's extremely intense and uncomfortable and unnerving. It hints at those kinds of things. It hints at dealing with racial issues. And unfortunately, it's written pretty bluntly and awkwardly. So even when it does try to tackle those things, it doesn't come off very... It doesn't feel like it feels genuine. It feels like, oh, well, I need to shove this stuff in here, so let's just shove it in here. But this film winds up turning into... They wind up getting their hands on money from drug cartel, which they get in very, very, very cliched and stupid means, and doesn't show too kindly to one of the characters in the main characters in the film. And then they wind up having to go on a rescue mission because one of the children gets kidnapped. And I think Queen Latifah does a really fine job here. She's really doing her best with some clunky dialogue, some very cliche plotting for a film like this, and also kind of rushed because, like, this film never seems to take its time to breathe a lot of the time. Once you get past, like, the first 20 minutes of, like, setting up things, it's just bam, 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 on to the next thing. And you have Ludacris, who I don't think gives the strongest performance here, nor does his character Reggie really amount to much besides, like, some horrible cliches that are... If they weren't there, we wouldn't get the plot that we get in this film. And you have Beau Bridges, who's one of, like, the sheriffs around, and he does a really fine job. There's some twists along the way that, like, I didn't, like, they drop little breadcrumbs throughout and they make sense, but, like, it's not, it's one of those kinds of things like, oh, that's surprising. And this film isn't as fresh or as interesting as it probably hopes to be. It feels very cliche and predictable. And you don't really get too invested in this story that feels so choppy and poorly written in terms of dialogue. And in the end, this just kind of feels like a throwaway, forgettable thriller when they could have really delved into serious family issues, serious racial issues, and I feel like it just skates the surface to just kind of put this crime thriller together. And you could see why the actors did this film. There was a lot of potential for the main character of Brenda, for Queen Latifah. Beau Bridges was definitely having a lot of fun. And Ludacris, probably just getting a role like this is very different than what he's used to. It just didn't come together in a meaningful way. And it wasn't particularly thrilling either. It was fine. It was well shot. But in general, this film feels like an undercooked thriller. But, you know, it's right there on Netflix. It's 90 minutes, so it's an easy watch. And if you're really into thrillers, you might get into some enjoyment out of this. But those are my thoughts on End of the Road. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.